Donald Trump says he expects to be arrested on Tuesday and has urged his supporters to launch mass protests. However, his lawyers said there had been no communication from law enforcement and the former president's post was based on media reports. Prosecutors have been looking at a possible indictment of Mr. Trump. Reports say it could come next week. If he is indicted, it would be the first criminal case ever brought against a former U.S. president. This case focuses on alleged hush money paid on Mr. Trump's behalf by his lawyer to porn star Stormy Daniels prior to the 2016 presidential election. It is one of several cases in which the 76-year-old is currently being investigated, although he has not yet been charged in any and denies wrongdoing in each. Mr. Trump has pledged to continue his campaign to become the Republican nominee in the 2024 presidential election, even if he is indicted. Past efforts to investigate him, including 2 impeachment trials, the Russia investigation and the Mar-a-Lago raid, have tended to make him more popular with his base, so an indictment could have a similar effect. It is not yet known if he is going to be criminally charged this week or even, beyond broad strokes, what those charges might be. But with the former president predicting an arrest and calling for mass protests, this is a journey into unknown territory. Mr. Trump has a loyal base of followers, and the 6 January 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol by his supporters following his repeated calls to protest has proven that a fraught situation can quickly escalate into violence. How the Trump-Stormy Daniels saga unfolded. Trump's 4 biggest legal problems. What is a U.S. grand jury? On Saturday, Mr. Trump wrote on his social networking site Truth Social that illegal leaks from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office indicate he would be arrested on Tuesday. The District Attorney's Office has not yet commented. Mr. Trump's lawyer, Susan Necheles, said her team had not heard anything from law enforcement officials. Since this is a political prosecution, the District Attorney's Office has engaged in a practice of leaking everything to the press rather than communicating with President Trump's attorneys as would be done in a normal case, she said. Adult film actress Stormy Daniels, Stephanie Clifford, exits the United States District Court Southern District of New York on 16 April 2018. The Republican Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy, has hit out at the investigation, calling it an outrageous abuse of power by a radical day district attorney. In a tweet, he also promised to investigate whether federal money was being used to interfere in elections with politically motivated prosecutions. Any indictment would create a complicated calculation for Mr. Trump's rivals within the Republican Party as they decide whether to up their attacks on the former president while he is potentially distracted or keep their heads down and hope for the best. If history is any guide, it will be the latter. The Stormy Daniels case is about how Mr. Trump reimbursed his lawyer Michael Cohen after Cohen paid Mrs. Daniels $130,000. The record for the payment reimbursing Cohen says the payment was for legal fees. Prosecutors may say this amounts to Mr. Trump falsifying business records, a misdemeanor in New York. U.S. media organizations say law enforcement agencies in New York are preparing for the possibility of Mr. Trump being indicted and appearing in a Manhattan courtroom as early as next week. According to the Associated Press, they're considering the practicalities of taking a former president into court, including questions around security. Donald Trump faces a separate criminal investigation over efforts to overturn his narrow loss in the state of Georgia in the 2020 presidential election, though it is not known if the former president is being directly investigated. The Department of Justice is also looking at whether classified government documents were handled incorrectly after Mr. Trump left office, as well as broader efforts to undermine the results of the presidential election 3 years ago, including the 6 January attack.